Hi, I'm Iris. Welcome to Browsing. When we think of starting research, we generally think of typing search terms into a search box until we find something to read. I do this all the time, day in and day out, but this isn't always the most efficient way of finding related material, especially if you're not entirely sure about your research terms. There are a few ways of finding materials when search just isn't cutting it for you, and browsing is one of the extremely powerful methods of uncovering related resources. Browsing, in this context, is looking through a set of pre-gathered materials that share a common characteristic. The great thing about browsing is that you're capitalizing on human knowledge rather than just having a computer match letters in a row as it performs a search. Humans create these sets for you, and then you look through them to figure out which items are useful, and also what words might make better search terms next time you search. In a library, typically the characteristic that gathers items together is topic. We're looking for ways to find a bunch of sources that all match a topic, and then we'll browse through that collection. When you browse in a library, you're looking to quickly scan through a bunch of items, usually books, to see which ones are useful. To do this, first you scan titles on a shelf. Then, look at the tables of contents to see if there are any chapters that are particularly good for your needs. Take a peek at the index if there is one. This is like the Google of the book, and it'll tell you which pages have your topic. And also don't forget to look at the introduction. This is where the author will usually give you a quick encapsulation of what the book is about, so you can figure out if it'll be useful for you. During non-pandemic times, one of the best ways to browse in a library is to find a book or two using the library catalog. Ours is called Catalyst, and it's on the main page of the library's website. Then take a look at the book's call number. This is a set of letters and numbers that are unique to this book and will help you find the book on the shelf. The super neat thing about a call number is that it isn't random. These numbers are actually library code for a specific topic. You don't have to know the code, but knowing that things that are about the same topic are given similar call numbers and are therefore shelved near each other means that you can find one or two books in Catalyst, look at their codes, and then go down to the shelves and find shelves and shelves of books that have similar numbers and are therefore about similar things. During pandemic times, you'll want to limit the books that you touch, and anything that you do touch should be put on the red carts located near the stairwells so that we can quarantine them before putting them back out for others to touch. So, during pandemic times, you'll want to do as much digital browsing as you can. There are lots of methods and tools for this, but here are 3 of the best places to start. When you open up a book in Catalyst, here at the bottom, under Virtual Browse, you can see the other books that are on the shelf next to this book. In fact, you can see books that would be on the shelf next to this book if our shelves were merged with St. Olaf's shelves. Because of the way that call numbers work, you'll often find books on narrower topics to the right and books that are on broader topics to the left. This isn't always how it'll work, but it's a good rule of thumb. One thing to note is that our ebooks don't always show up in these browse screens because of the way that they feed into our system from our ebook vendors. But this screen is still a great way to find related titles and related subject headings. In Catalyst and other search systems, you'll also find categorizing words, sometimes called subject tags or descriptors. In Catalyst, it's called a subject. Since these are added by humans and since they're consistent across the search tool, you'll be able to use these words to gather together all the items that have been put into the same category. In this case, there's only one subject. You can click on it to see all the books that have exactly this same subject. You can also play with this by switching is exact to contains, and maybe you just want the penguins piece. Click search, and now you've pulled together a different category of books to scan through. And finally, if you have a text handy that's on your topic, especially if it's an academic book or article, you have a great set of items ready to browse, this time in the form of a bibliography. Everything in the bibliography is something that the author has already decided is related to this topic, so it's one of the best places to find related works. And as always, if questions come up, we're here to help. Contact us.